This deck is just good as Dylan Hand. As Dylan Hand is going to take that that Growth Chamber Guardian with Entrancing Melody. Merriam with the Gruul Spellbreaker that he put a +1/+1 counter on via Riot. Those creatures will trade, and we will head back over to Ross now. Ross with a Nullhide Ferox, while Hand has a 5/5 Hydroid Krasis. Now this is one of those matchups that I do think is probably pretty difficult here for Dylan, though Domri coming down and allowing the Nullhide Ferox to fight.
I don't know. Compared to Mono Red, Ross's deck is so much more vulnerable to cards like Mass Manipulation.
Yes. I think this. I would be surprised if this is not a good matchup for Dylan.
Like Merriam just puts a bunch of 4- and 5-mana creatures on the battlefield. It seems like it can only be so bad.
And Teferi now here for Dylan. This deck originally was just a Simic Mass Manipulation deck, but players have found a little bit of room to get some white mana in here for Teferi and the like. More Paradise Druids, all 4 here for Dylan Hand as we head back over to Ross Merriam.
And at this point, maybe it's close to neutral on the board, but Hand is drawing to so many just lights out, total bombs from this position.
Well, that's the trick with this deck. There's a double block. There's your exchange. Follow-up is Growth Chamber Guardian, and now Ross will search one up, given the adapt, and play another one. So Dylan, the question is, do you have a big payoff? Now, it's kind of interesting here as a Temple Guardian's going to enter the battlefield on tap because this is a very Dylan Hand deck to play. He likes these big mana strategies. Before, it was Nexus of Fate. But that deck has really slowed down as there's Rekindling Phoenix. Now, it'll be Mass Manipulation. Ross does not want to play anymore. That's strange. You like how Mass Manipulation's an instant there because of Teferi?
Oh, sweet. I was about to say, that's a wild instant.
Yeah, no. Teferi making it a little too good.
Well, I mean, he didn't need all of it.
Yeah.
Hand had a little to spare there. Yeah. He didn't need the whole thing.
Dylan Hand up a game here over Ross Merriam. Mass Manipulation, this namesake card, putting the finishing touches on that game against Ross and Gruul aggro. Merriam does have some sideboard cards here, though, starting with, of course, a Mountain. Then a Shock. 3 Lava Coil, 3 Thrashing Brontodon, 2 Living Twister, 2 Collision Colossus, a Domri's Ambush, a Vivian Reed, and the Immortal Sun. What I'll tell you here, it doesn't seem like a lot of great cards for this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, the removal spells have targets, but I think the burden is on Ross to get the game over with fast. And I'm not really a big fan of his expensive cards. I don't think he can win that sort of game either. So I don't know. If I was Ross, I would try to keep this just as low to the ground and aggressive as possible and not try to sideboard for a late game you can't win.
Dylan's side of things, he's got 4 Negates, 4 Thrashing Brontodons, 3 Thorn Lieutenants, a River's Rebuke, 2 Lyra Dawnbringers, and a Tulsamir, friend to the Wolves.
I like the last 3 cards there. I think the 2 Lyras, the Tulsamir, and the River's Rebuke are all going to be solid here.
Those are the options there for both players. We did talk about the pregame show, and I hope you guys at home were able to join us, but we talked about how Bant Mass Manipulation has a really, really bad mono red matchup and is good against basically everything else. Dylan saying, I hope I don't get paired against mono red, basically.
Yep. But it's not even just all red strategies because, like we mentioned, I think he should be favored here.
I think you're right.
Because I think at a baseline, his strategy is so good against 4- and 5-mana creatures, and Merriam does a lot of that.
Dylan going to take a mulligan here, not liking what he saw.
If you need assistance or have an extension, please call for a judge. Invitational players, that is time.
We're underway here in game number 2. It's a mountain to start here for Merriam. And now it's a Paradise Druid, while Dylan with just an island, a Hinterland Harbor into a Llanowar Elf. So he's looking to take the initiative back. There is a Domri. A Shock will take care of that Llanowar Elves, and now it's a Paradise Druid and a Breeding Pool, and there's a Battlefield tap. So it looks like Dylan is functioning just fine. Little Spellbreaker, Llanowar Elves, pass the turn back over to Dylan.
Merriam missing some land drops here as well.
Looks like a Friend of the Wolves is here in Tulsamir.
I believe is that an SCG Tour debut?
I believe that's the case. Looks like we don't have Tulsamir's PAL. We'll have to use a die for right now. There's a Living Twister. We're getting plenty of new cards out here now. Tulsimir down. We head back over to Dylan Hand now. Dylan not with a great season here on the SCG Tour. He's attended most of the events. Here's Mass Manipulation taking the Living Twister. But he's just been working hard. He's been pretty vocal about things not going the way that he'd hoped, but always looking to improve his game. Might find a deck that might take him back to his top 8 ways that we saw so much last year. 5 SCG Open top 8s last year. As now here's a Hydroid Krasis for 5.
You can undo a lot of, seemingly bad seasons with this tournament.
It's true.
Yeah, the Invitational can make a lot of bad seasons look great.
That's very true. Here's a double block.
And a double block here typically pretty safe against Null Hide Ferox.
Not that time, though.
Because it's hard to cast spells, but, then that happened.
Null Hide Ferox got double blocked. Ross paid the cost to be able to play a spell and then used Collision to take care of the Hydroid Krasis to win the double block. Dylan said, you know what, I'll pay the mana too, and I'd like to take your Null Hide Ferox, shut off the Hexproof. So now Dylan's the one with the Null Hide Ferox, which is interesting because his deck likes to actually play spells. Skargan Hellkite did show up, so Merriam has that and some mana to work with.
Mass Manipulation is an intense card.
It's a real hoot. The combination of Mass Manipulation and Entrancing Melody means that if your opponent's playing some good things, you're going to be doing pretty well for yourself.
And I think Hand here, I would describe as being slightly behind, but as usual, some massive draws.
Merriam starting to get a little bit more aggressive now. Gruul Spellbreaker is a 4/4. Actually, it's going to be a little bit more powerful because of Domri. You see the Paradise Druid. And, of course, the Skargan Hellkite coming over in the air. Hand, I do agree, does have some massive draws here. Maybe Null Hide Ferox makes them poor. And he just drew a land, so it doesn't matter anyway. Ross with a pretty well-played game there. We're all tied up. Going to game number 3 between these two teammates, members of Team BC Dub.
And it didn't look like Merriam did much in the way of the 5-mana Planeswalker sideboard strategy, which I like here. Like I said, I think it's he's unlikely to win a game like that, even if he draws his cards on time.
Hard to argue. Game number 3 about to be underway, and then at the conclusion of this one, Patrick and I are stepping out. The Turf and Todd Anderson are stepping in. They'll be bringing you rounds 3 and rounds 4 of our standard portion today. Don't forget, too, tomorrow we're going to come back with another pregame show for you. 10 a.m. East Coast time, 11, and we'll start again tomorrow. We'll do rounds number 9 through 16. We'll make a cut to the top 8. We'll only bring you top 8 coverage on Sunday. Plenty of great photos can be found on the Star City Games Facebook page. Follow Star City Games and SCG Tour on Twitter to see everything that's happening here at SCGCon Summer, which is a blast so far, as Ross Merriam is going to play a Paradise Druid. Dylan Hand with a couple of forests to start. And now he's got a Nissa who's ready to shake the world. In for 3 with that forest.
That was fast. It's really fast.
Yeah. This is no joke. No joke.
I mean, you can cross your fingers, I suppose, and hope that he's only on green mana. But even then, that's quite the opening.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that was Colossus into Domri's ambush to take care of Nissa. However, you still have to contend with what Hand has on the battlefield. Well, Lava Coil will take care of the land. Shock will take care of that. Okay, this isn't bad by Ross. Catching back up pretty quick.
Pinning a lot of mana.
There's Tulsimir. Wolf will fight the Paradise Druid. No more wolves here for the friend of wolves. Shock will take care of land or else. Pass the turn back. Shall I? These splash cards having an impact here for Dylan Hand. as Ross can only pass the turn back. Maybe having some issues with mana due to the lack of red. There's a chump block. That's another Paradise Druid. Ross will draw, and he will have to concede the game. So, Dylan Hand is going to win this match over Ross Merriam. It's the team member of BCW on the left.